Disclaimer, this video is a joke about a fictional character made by a very talented teenager who likely makes up the lore of this character as he goes along. None of this is meant to be taken seriously unless the creator of the character wants it to be. If the creator of Edward Robinson's character Grant Whistler is watching, your work is incredible and any film studio would be wise to hire you in a heartbeat. Now enjoy the show. Hello there, everyone. Today we will be discussing the lore of a character that I don't think has gotten the attention it deserves, and that character is Edward Robinson. Who is he? Well, he was created by a content creator named Grant Whistler, who received over 2.5 million followers on TikTok, making hilarious videos in which he plays every character while wearing a hat or a different shirt to distinguish the characters. But one character he has created is named Edward Robinson. His character is a calculus teacher who isn't good at earning the love of his students and as a result becomes the target of several pranks. But what if these pranks weren't for laughs, but for a big elaborate plan to have him assassinated for the greed of others? I'm going to prove this today by analyzing Grant's videos on Edward Robinson. In our first video that introduced us to Edward Robinson, we see two students, Grant and Jimmy, pull some jokes on Edward after discovering that they have him in calculus for what isn't the first time. This encourages them to make some jokes about him that go from weird but innocent to holy crap, what's wrong with you?
What the? You changed your name on Xbox to Edward Robinson? Alright, so I say we leave in an hour and then we meet him at... Dude, what the hell is so fun? Whoa, you have a picture of him on your wall! Okay, Natalie Ray. Here. Alright, Edward Robinson? Wait, two Edward Robinsons? What? No way, that also happens to be my name and... Wait, Grant? Jimmy? You guys aren't on the list, you can't be... Did you both change your full legal name to Edward Robinson? What?
Honey, are you alright? You seem really
no, honey,
stressed out.
I'm fine. I just had a rough day is all. This is Justin. A bank robbery happening currently downtown right now. The suspect has apparently revealed his name to be Edward Robinson. Oh,
Now, changing your Xbox name and putting a poster of Edward on a wall is okay, because Edward would likely never know unless he was told. But changing your full legal name to Edward Robinson and robbing a bank identifying as Edward seem extreme for a joke. But I think it's actually the beginning of a plot to get Edward Robinson assassinated. What if Grant and Jimmy changed their names to Edward Robinson so one of them could rob a bank pretending to be their teacher, and when Grant or Jimmy escaped the cops, the police went to Edward Robinson's house believing him to be the robber and possibly kill him if he did not cooperate with police? We may not have seen how the whole night played out, but given Edward is in more videos to come and appears in the same room watching television, yes, I know all of these videos were filmed in the same house, this video is a joke, we can presume he cleared his name with the police. But this wasn't the only time Edward had to dodge an assassination attempt. In the next video, we see Edward Robinson on a plane going down as he realizes one of his students is responsible for this.
there you are. Wait, it's you? Wait, what would you do? Okay, so I was thinking about that question I asked you earlier, but then I figured it'd be better in a real-life scenario. What? All right, so if we're falling at a speed of 193 kilometers per hour and the plane weighs about 40,000 pounds, how much force is needed to pull down the steering wheel?
But this clip actually gives us a clue to the motives behind Grant and Jimmy's plot to get Edward killed. Before the plane crash, we see presumably Grant get agitated when Edward doesn't have an answer for when they will use an equation in real life, which sparks the idea to have a plane Edward is on crashing down. Now, does this mean Grant was willing to kill Edward Robinson as well as other passengers on the plane just to prove a point behind a calculus problem? Or was this a disguised motive to hide the true motive behind assassinating Edward Robinson? We will find out. Moving on, we see in the next clip that Grant and Edward Robinson are still alive, which isn't unbelievable. Surviving plane crashes is more common than you may think, so I won't dwell on that. Anyway, we see Edward Robinson try to get back at Grant for almost killing him by taking advantage of Grant being absent on a previous school day by making him prepare a presentation that supports racism, films it, and slams him for it before he can even start presenting.
No, you can't do that!
But this is not nearly enough to stop the antics that are coming for Edward Robinson. Up next, we see Grant and Jimmy arguing about Edward Robinson's relatives, specifically who is where in his family tree, which Edward hears in his class, upsets him, and prompts Grant and Jimmy to go on the History Channel to publicly elaborate on Edward Robinson's family timeline.
My gosh, what is my teammate doing? Bro, I think I'm playing with Edward Robinson's grandma who has dementia.
Hey, Beth used to be a pro player, though.
Wait, Beth? Don't you mean Marie? Beth is his wife's name.
No?
Yeah, it
no,
is.
that's completely wrong. It goes Beth, then Marie, then his wife Jamie,
Bro,
and...
Jamie is his daughter. What are you talking
He
about?
doesn't even have a daughter.
Yes,
He
he
has a son
does.
named Samuel.
Well, where'd you
What the
get
hell?
that?
All right, everyone, I'm gonna take
No,
attendance here.
you're getting all wrong. Okay,
Hey,
listen,
guys.
the third
Guys,
cousin
quiet
are
down.
Mark.
Brian, Heather, and then from the dad's side, it's Leon, Jen, and then it goes, are you guys discussing my entire family bloodline?
Honey, why are you always so stressed out? Are you
They're just
okay?
doing it again. I don't want to talk about it, all right? Welcome back to the History Channel. Today, we're going to be figuring out who is this missing piece and how does it connect to the lore of the Edward Robinson universe. Well, what the hell?
Now, why would Grant and Jimmy want to publicly discuss Edward Robinson's family plotline? What could it possibly have to do with getting him assassinated? Is he related to a historic monster that will make the public hate him? Possibly, but I think that they're doing this to get the people interested in Edward Robinson as a person so that they will care about him when he gets assassinated, which will further contribute to the real reason they want him dead, which we will get to later. Now, Edward Robinson tried to get back at Grant for this by slamming him for his artistic ability on an assignment.
Oh, I forgot that happened on Monday. Is that the sun? Is that the fucking sun? No! Yo, what are you doing? No!
But making Grant look stupid in his class was useless in stopping the plans being done against him, as they were far more complex than he could imagine. We then see that Edward Robinson's face is on the front page of Google because of Grant and Jimmy, who, it turns out, have also been working at Google for 10 years just to get Edward Robinson's face onto Google for what appears to be a prank.
Oh, okay, I see. So what you have to do is you have to open up a new tab and then... Wait. Why the fuck is my face on the front page of Google? What in the hell was that? What in the hell were you guys thinking? You've been working for this company for 10 years, and the day I give you an executive promotion, you do that? Was this like your whole plan or something? Yeah? Why? That's it, you're fired!
Now, you may be wondering, if Grant and Jimmy are high school students, how could they have worked at Google for 10 years? Well, there are two possible scenarios. 1. Grant and Jimmy started as kids testing products and applications that Google made specifically for kids and worked their way up the ladder. 2. Grant and Jimmy are not actually teenagers. They are closer to 30 years old and pretended to be teenagers to become students at the same high school that Edward Robinson works at. This wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary. It's normal for adults around 30 years old to be playing a high school student for a show or movie. So you could pull this off if you have the right looks and voice. Either way, back to the story. So Grant and Jimmy are fired from Google, but they are working for other people who we get a first glimpse at who are leading the charge to get Edward Robinson assassinated.
You're fired!
What's our next move, boss? Assassinate.
Edward Robinson still has no idea that he is the target of being murdered, but he is noticing the tactics that are getting him attention, such as every hospital naming a newborn baby Edward Robinson.
Hello and welcome back to CBS 10. Today is November 7th as we have a very bizarre situation I have never seen before. Every single hospital has reported their newborn baby to be named Edward Robinson. Are you kidding?
But next, we get the true reason why Edward Robinson is in danger of being killed. Edward Robinson notices that he has a stock named after him. We then cut to our masked villains panicking over the Edward Robinson coin crashing after discovering that a previous attempt at killing Edward failed as they mistook another guy for Edward Robinson.
Someone left their glass. There he is, get him! Ah!
And that is why Edward Robinson has gotten so much attention and has almost been killed. Our unnamed villains have been trying to kill him to get the Edward Robinson coin to rise on the stock market to make millions off of his death. Discussing his family plotline on television, putting his face on the front page of Google, and getting every newborn baby at a hospital to be named Edward Robinson were actually ways to get the people's attention of who Edward Robinson is, so that when they killed him, his stock would rise regardless of whether people thought he was a good or bad person. Our villains also knew that if Edward Robinson died of an extreme death, it would also catch people's attention, which is why he was framed for a bank robbery, a part of a plane crash, and almost shot in public. All to get the stock market to rise. The Edward Robinson coin. Now, where does this leave Edward Robinson going forward? He's not dead, but he's clearly in danger. Well, in a compilation video on Grant's YouTube channel, we see bonus footage of Edward in the middle of the woods. Based on the beard, we can imagine he is finally aware of the true danger he is in and has fled the school and his home to hide in the woods where he has been hiding out for some time. At the end, we see him pull out a winter hat. Look familiar? It should. In a politics video on Grant's page, we see a campaign video for a man named Chad McBundles wearing this hat campaigning against Edward Robinson in a state election. Now, how did Edward get this hat? We don't know. Maybe Chad died and it was given to Edward. Maybe Edward stole it. But what matters most is how Edward uses this hat to save his own life. Will he pretend to be Chad McBundles, start a new identity, or use this hat as evidence against the people targeting him because they did similar things to Chad McBundles? We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. I hope I connected the puzzle pieces for you, and if you think I have lost my mind at this point, well, I have, but MatPat hasn't made a video about Edward Robinson, so someone had to. And Grant, if you're watching, you're a filmmaking genius, my friend. Until next time, hang in there, Edward Robinson. We're rooting for you.